All right, Megyn Kelly sat down with President Donald Trump, and she just, the full interview, I believe, has been released today, but she posted a preview of that exchange yesterday, and she, got to hand it to her, she did ask him some tough questions regarding COVID, Dr. Fauci, the vaccine, things of that nature. And so I want to play a couple of these clips for you. Let's start with the claim by Trump that DeSantis shut down Florida during COVID. Watch.
I was not a big fan of Fauci. If you look at Ron DeSanctimonious, this guy said the greatest things. I can give you articles that, well, Fauci's great, he's wonderful, we love him, we don't do anything without Fauci. This went on for months.
But he didn't listen to Fauci.
He did 100%. Look,
he shut down Florida.
I will give you, he shut down Florida.
For a month.
Oh, he shut it down for a lot longer. He shut down the beaches. He shut down the roads. He shut down a hospital. He was shutting down everything. He also had long lines of people getting the jab, as he called it. Let's all go get the jab. The guy tried to change history in Florida. Now, eventually Florida was open.
Your thoughts, gentlemen?
Let's go get the jab. Let's go get the jab. That was I wanted him to explore that more.
Yeah.
Is that from a song, Mary Poppins, or Let's go fly a kite? Let's go get the jab. I think that it's certainly true that everyone shut things down early on. Everyone listened
At Trump's
to Fauci
encouragement,
early on.
Right.
So I don't think there was much disagreement in the beginning because better be safe than sorry was the order of the day.
Right.
And, you know, Trump's right to point that out. There may be some other things you could say, but, you know, that's what he's going to point out in the beginning. We all shut down, and that's his story, and he's sticking to it. I think that what Megyn is referring to is that as time went on, DeSantis was clearly a much better governor when it came to these issues than most other governors in the country. And he certainly should be respected and admired for that.
Do you think, Logan, that it would be better for Trump to just admit that DeSantis was good on COVID?
I'll have a bit of a dear leader moment here, real quick.
Okay.
I think on a national level, number one, during COVID, it was an impossible situation no matter what Trump was going to do. I remember seeing an article, some of the, people forget, but there was some of the, it was probably, COVID was probably on a perspective from the media, it was probably the largest propaganda operation in history. So I remember an article that came out from CNN. It was called Trump Peddles, this is the headline of it. It's called Trump Peddles Unsubstantiated Hope in Dark Times. Unsubstantiated hope. I mean, it doesn't get any more brazen than that. Yeah. So I think Trump did probably the best he could as a national leader. Obviously, like with the vaccines, there was stuff that problems with the rollout and development, but mostly the sheep got those anyway, so it didn't affect me really at all. I think it's important I admire, like, this is kind of what I like about Biden too, right? I don't think that you should ever apologize or explain yourself to these people, especially when it's like some journalist who's trying to grill you and score some cheap points or sound bites or whatever. I think it's good that Trump refuses to apologize, and you know, he can deal with this issue as he wants, but this is where you're seeing some support on the right for RFK Jr. because he is directly tackling the medical industry, big pharma, corruption, and this is where I think Trump is starting to feel a little bit of his feet to the fire because he sees that RFK is popular when he's focusing mostly solely on these issues. He does some other things like climate and some food production stuff, but a lot of it is focused on pharma. So I think Trump notices that and sees that RFK is getting a lot of support talking about this stuff, and Trump is, I think, maybe dialing down his tone or not talking about it as much, but I think it's good. I don't think he should ever apologize.
Well, but I think that there's a difference in apologizing and just saying, we didn't know what we didn't know. We did the best we could at the time. If I had to do it all over again, I would choose differently knowing what I know now. But there was no one else who was going to make the decisions that I was able to make and navigate America through an unprecedented time. Like, I think, like, that's the answer that I want to hear from him.
So
and he won't give it.
So I think to understand this, it all goes back to the media point that was made earlier. In a media environment in which all sides are trying to destroy you, right? Or the media itself asking the question is a dishonest broker promoting narratives. What has happened, rightly or wrongly, whether you like it or not, whether you defend it, I mean, Logan just defended it, said, no, this is absolutely. The reason that makes sense in the media environment is that it is antagonistic, it sets the narrative. And so you get Biden, you get Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is dangerous because he will never apologize publicly or acknowledge any of the sins in California. He won't.
Yeah.
It's not something he's going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he just kind of said, there's some things we could do, but the way he talks about it is very, very instructive. Trump is the same way. So right or wrong, I mean, he's not going to. That's not what he does. He has an off switch and an on switch, and with people as well. When he gets back around, and let's say DeSantis and him get along at some point in the future, it'll be just like with Ted Cruz, who he accused, he suggested his father had killed JFK. And
he called his wife ugly.
And then afterwards, right, we love Ted. I mean, this is the way he operates. It's the way he operates.
Okay, let me throw one more clip in here. Aside from how he handled COVID as far as encouraging states to shut down and all of that, I want to play the clip in particular to the vaccine because I feel like there's a difference in saying nothing about the vaccine, maybe, or like trying to avoid saying, I love the vaccine. And instead, he just can't help himself. And he's like, I actually didn't get the credit I deserved. Watch.
We did a tremendous job. And it's never, they appreciated what I did with the economy. I got a lot of good marks on economy. I got a lot of good marks on a lot of things. Rebuilding the military, getting rid of ISIS, the biggest tax cuts in history.
Supreme Court.
I never got, I think, the credit that I deserve on COVID. And I'll tell you the way I look at it. It came in and nobody knew it was. We have to put ourselves back then. I had a meeting and we had a lot of professionals in the Oval Office. They say, sir, something bad is happening in the world. I said, what's that? And they said, people are dying. They're dying in China.
So he goes on, that was not the clip that I thought it was. So he goes on to legitimately say, I hear from Democrats all the time who tell me I don't get the credit that I deserve on the vaccine. And to me, I'm like, if you're telling me that a Democrat is telling you you're not getting credit for something, I don't want to hear it. It's not something that I'm going to like. So it's fascinating to me that he uses what Democrats are telling him he's doing a good thing on, because I think maybe he thinks, well, we can all agree on it. But to me, it's like, we're so tribal that if that's your inclination, I'm probably going to hate it, so maybe just don't brag about it.
Yeah, I mean, we do need to remember that Trump is probably just a blue dog Democrat at heart, right?
Sure.
He still talks to a lot of these people. He still hasn't really changed his views in 30, 40 years. I think we don't really deserve him. In a previous era, he would be the great uniter of this nation, but our divides are too... we live in two separate worlds now. Trump is built for a better era. He rules. He would have been, he probably would have been like, I think he's probably this generation's Abraham Lincoln in terms of how he can keep the Union together and intact. And the Democrats don't want it to be that way. Now, I get that this is still kind of a dear leader moment. I get it.
It is.
One of the
the vaccine has injured so many people. You can't defend it.
My last point I will say is that a lot of Republicans want to make 2024 about what happened with the COVID shots. 2024 election is not going to be about COVID. It's going to be about the economy. It's going to be about whether we still have a country, et cetera. We're kind of, like it or not, the American people have kind of moved on from this issue and they've forgotten about all of the propaganda and all of the abuses that occurred. It's going to be about the economy and That's it.
I think the way I would look at this is the problem is that he's thinking of very different audiences, right? I mean, and it's absolutely true. I mean, look, I am not happy about what happened at all. Like, I wish, we had done things differently. Everyone gets good marks for responding. I think he should have responded, given what we know. I was very early on to see what was going on. The information was, you want to be careful. You want to pay attention. And of course, the left was against doing that first and saying it was no big deal. So I get that early on. Now, I have no problem saying like what ended up happening was pretty bad. I think Fauci should be in jail. I think he should have been, just taken right out of office and marched out the hell out of the bureaucracy. I don't agree with what ended up happening, but I think when Trump talks about these things, this is the way he operates in the media environment. He doesn't apologize. He never has. He's not going to now. And he has an on-off switch on these things where, and does that upset a lot of people on the right, including myself sometimes over the last few months? Yes, absolutely. But he's not playing that. The game has changed and the themes have changed, regardless of how many people on the right are justifiably still angry about what happened.
Yeah.
If you like that clip, there is plenty more where that came from. Click the link in the description below to subscribe to the News and Why It Matters YouTube channel to watch the full episode.